Oh, hello, friends. Well, I'm here with Bryce, and this is this whole day has been, I don't know, the whole thing has been kind of interesting for me because this is the last forest monk for a long time, and you've been here just a half a month, but our whole family has grown close to you really quickly, and I couldn't have asked for a more open-hearted and open-minded and ready to learn individual to come here and to kind of close this chapter. We maybe we'll do forest monks again someday in some other location, but yeah, so it's kind of bittersweet for me. And I was just hoping to kind of hear from you what your experience was like, and just anything you want to share.
Yeah, I'll definitely touch on some of the things we've talked about. It's kind of explaining to Dustin yesterday. He wanted some feedback on the whole thing, and I don't know, it kind of caught me in like a emptiness. I didn't know exactly what to give him as far as feedback, and I kind of started to think that maybe the initial first week in the woods was pretty intense for myself. Unknowingly, I look back now, and it was definitely more intense than some of the days I've had here. Being just, getting used to solitude, and not having those conversations over dinner and phone calls back and forth and text messages and social media. So you just build up such a tolerance for those kind of things. And then once you're placed in an atmosphere where that's just pretty much stripped away, it's weird. Your mind kind of starts thinking, what do I do? What would I do to occupy all of this noise that I'm so used to hearing? And I think that's where reading kind of came in for me, where because I was so bombarded by the phone personally and videos, it's so much easier to watch or to listen to Alan Watts' lectures than to pick up all of his many books, which personally I believe I've learned more and understood more from his actual readings than listening to him, which I don't want to put down the lectures, but I don't know, there's definitely, like I said, his soul kind of saturates in these books. And so yeah, that first week was me trying to figure out kind of calming the anxiety of just being the only one out here and getting over the mosquitoes.
Did you get over them?
No.
You're pretty mellow with them, though, I have to say.
Yeah,
you swell up too, so it's not fun for you.
I've gotten used to grabbing it, and they get pretty scared when you grab them. They can give you a couple of seconds.
Oh, you do it like a live release?
Yeah.
And that just shakes them up enough.
Well, sometimes they're like, okay.
I found that with deer flies. It's really good ninja exercise to try to catch them. And then you just shake them a little bit and let them go. They never come back.
Just as bamboozled as you do. And they're like, okay, I'll leave you alone for a little bit. But surely they come back. I think it's more, kind of like the weird we've been talking about with martial arts, is kind of more the flowing with it than just meeting them with resistance. Because I remember thinking at one point, I was outside the cabin cooking. I was just getting absolutely bombarded. And I was like, smack, smack, smack. Surely I've got to lower the population around me, which is completely not true. So I find just more or less energy is just put into grabbing them and just pushing them away rather than just smacking myself.
Huh. Wow.
So yeah, and that's another big thing that it wasn't anywhere into a daily thought of mine of flowing with what's happening rather than someone or a conflict of any sort arises. It's interesting to see that innate just headstrong with a lot of people. I know it's not with most. I find it very lowered in my mother and whatnot. I feel like sometimes women have a special attribute of just kind of flowing with things rather than
not meeting force with force.
Yeah, just so masculine, or just being you want to fight, rather than just don't want to do this. So that's been a really good challenge of incorporating just flow and catching yourself, which has been a huge part too of catching myself in the moment of either judgment or anxiety and whatnot, and just kind of not expelling it, but assessing it, and just saying, okay, why am I having this feeling? Why am I judging this person? And ultimately, it just comes down to something that's already inside you that you are kind of seeing in someone else, which has been profound to really catch myself while I'm in the town for a little while and like see someone that I think looks funny or whatnot, and to really catch myself and think, why are you thinking this way? Rather than just continuing, because it's a lot, like I feel like it's really easy for people to just continue ranting about what's wrong with someone.
We don't realize how much energy that takes out of us.
Most definitely.
Like that constant judging and
Yeah.
looking at this and being angry
So
with
emotionally
this.
draining. And I think that's another thing is you talk about like emotional draining with this sense of judgment and anxiety and overstimulant of the phone that you just go to bed so used to being mentally drained, especially from work and whatnot. You're just like, okay, bedtime, just sleep this one off. When really, I don't know, I feel like if I were to sleep or take a nap throughout the day, I'm kind of wasting time to kind of better that, It's like one thing to just sleep it off and then actually just close your eyes and just be there with it, empty it, that feeling of whatever you're having, just, why is it here? How do we better it? How do we overcome it? And that's the big thing. I think some people that I've been around just kind of like look at meditation as like telling your mind to literally just go away for a while, and telling these feelings that you're having or like pushing them down perhaps.
Yeah.
And it's a totally new game to kind of like play with your mind as a child, like know that it wants to ramble and be loud and play and whatnot. Just kind of set that moment of like, all right, now we're coming back to this place, breathing and breath too. That most definitely helps the child like mind, the monkey of a brain we have, connecting that, just the bridge between body and mind is most definitely the mind, or the breathing, and belly breathing. That's been a huge part of, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, if you had a job, computer-wise, or you're on the line like I was making food and smoothies and whatnot, you kind of just, you forget about breathing and just all in the chest. And the time that I've had here in 17 days, I've really focused on breathing in to the belly and almost into the back a little bit. You can kind of feel your spine just, it massages your ribs, really eases my like digestion. Like sometimes I'll be doing it for so long and I'll like feel like passing of my stomach, like, oh, finally my stomach got, rid of that.
Huh.
Yeah.
You can actually feel the internals there.
Yeah, it kind of makes like this like groan like you're hungry, but you're obviously not, and just kind of passes things easier. Not in the sense like, okay, I go to the bathroom. But
Move stuff.
but moves. It most definitely moves things that are like more or less stuck, or these fattening foods, especially with meat for me that I've found. Even with that organic grass-fed, like I was very cautious as to how much I ate at a time, because it was harder for me to digest rather than the carrots and broccoli and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, being aware of what you eat definitely has been big to me too. I've actually had a time to listen to my stomach and not just kind of like, oh, you got it. Let's go eat McDonald's. So yeah, actually paying attention to how much oil is in the pan and whatnot. My stomach will let me know, like, okay, that was too much oil this time, or that was too much of this and too much of that, which is really kind of hard to assess in society, because whether you eat out of boredom or the food's costly, so you can't exactly get the most beneficial food. You just get really used to like just forcing that upon yourself of like, let's just fill this stomach so it'll stop pestering me. which has been an entire turn for me. It's more like I don't think I've ever eaten out of boredom since I've been here.
The communication between your body and your
Yeah.
mind. If we're going to break ourselves up
Right.
into pieces.
Yeah, Dustin and I went into the store, I forget that's in cable, like Ralph's or ReWildU's or something like that.
Oh yeah, Rondo's.
And Rondo's. And he, it's like a blast of the past, like you went into the 70s. And we went over to the meat center, and it was just like, I don't know, it's like you have a new pair of eyes. You like look at that, and you're like, okay, obviously that's glued together and dyed, and not as red as it appears to be, and wholesome. And I noticed that experiencing that, looking at meat, my stomach would be like literally telling me, don't you dare put that inside me.
Wow.
Because it just has the same amount of like enzymes and whatnot. It's kind of like another brain, where it's just like, I don't know, I just finally was like listening to this instead of like just my mouth. So it's funny, you really actually, there's a time where you can listen to your stomach and it'll tell you what it wants.
I feel like if we give ourselves those moments of quietude, then there's all these channels of communication that start to open. That just are never, you spoke about that, just barrage of information from the phone, and there's the barrage of the tastes and the food,
Mm-hmm.
and so we just can't hear anymore, and we don't even realize that we're not hearing
Yeah.
ourselves.
Right.
And suddenly we get to, we simplify whatever it is, our diet or whatever, our mind state, and then we get to see, oh yeah, here's parts of me that
I know.
have been gone for a while. So I haven't asked you about this, and I'm kind of curious. So speaking of food, you got really intimate with a part of foodness yesterday that a lot of us
Yeah.
will never be intimate with.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
The blueberries.
Oh no. Oh, go ahead and go for the blueberries. Go.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
That was a shock, because I've never seen, I've seen blueberries grow, but in a like kind of cultivated way, and even then, like, you can only, what I experienced from what grows in the wild is not only does it taste better and feel better because of just that ground of mycelium that hasn't been disturbed, especially because the place we were in was a wildfire, and so like that sense of like chaos at first,
Oh yeah.
and then to like settle down with the ash and this rehabilitation of life creates some of the most profound tasting fruits and berries I've ever tasted in my life. And there's so many. And I remember, coming across bushels and thinking, I should leave 2 for not just myself, but the bird or whatever that comes and eats us as well. And then I would think about that, and then I'd like look up, and I'm like, oh well, there's an entire field.
Wow.
That I couldn't I'd have to be here for a week with like 50 people to ever make a dent that would hurt the ecosystem. And I don't know, you can just really tell the difference between, see, we went to the store and did kind of like have those big plump ones,
Mhm.
and there's more of a water taste than there is of an actual flavor that we
Right.
had with these, smaller ones. So I don't know, I'm gonna really be thinking about, like, next time I have blueberries from the store, I'm like, you're just not it.
Oh, wild strawberries too.
Yeah.
We just, when we get these, the way we've bred them, I think that's, I've heard some people say we bred a lot more sugar into them. But when you're out and you're actually experientially tasting things, it just seems like, that little blueberry is so
Yeah,
burst
it's like
of
a
flavor and
gusher.
sweetness and incredible. And then the big ones, like you said, it's just like we've added water to our
Yeah.
fruits basically to make them big and
Yeah, it's like the farmers
look
are
good.
like secretly,
How can we put it all?
putting water in there. But what other food were you talking about?
Well, so some of us choose to eat meat, but few of us have killed an animal
Oh.
that we have eaten. And I
Yeah,
heard
that
you
was-
and Dustin
That was profound.
killed a chicken?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dustin, we came back, and I thought it was the end of the day, and Dustin kind of had like this, kind of like serious yet like smirk on his face. And he was like, so I heard you were interested in chicken? And I was like, yeah. I thought about it. He's like, well, let's get down to doing it. And I was like, oh, you want me to kill a chicken? And so I kind of wrapped my head around that for a little bit. My mom's dad is a farmer, and I'd never seen him do it, but it's like kind of in the back of my head that I know it's one of those things that happens, especially if you just go to Chick-fil-A. It's like out of sight, out of mind for that kind of deal. But no, it took me a while. It actually probably took me a good solid 10, 15 minutes with the bird in my hands, just feeling it, because the way that my hand was placed, I felt it swallow and the heartbeat, and it's very, for the first time in my life, it wasn't just a chicken breast.
Wow.
It's actually this living creature, though it may be as reptilian as it can possibly be, and dinosaur almost, which kind of helped my mindset. It wasn't a fluffy bunny, But no, I couldn't help but this feeling when I actually had the bird, this feeling that is unmistakable, as if like you're jumping off a cliff. That it's like, it's kind of worth it at the initial plunge, but that entire falling feeling, you're just like, I don't know if I want to do this when you're at the top of a cliff or whatnot. And I had that with the bird. I knew kind of that this was an experience I needed to learn from, but that initial action took a lot of breathing and Dustin talked me through it a little bit, with them being older and having a lot of life in them, and them potentially suffering anyways from water belly, I believe. So that kind of put me in a little bit of an ease. And then finally I just kind of stopped thinking about it and just went into it. And before you know it, the poor little guy never felt it, and that was the end of it. And it was nice. Dustin just like came up and gave me this really big reassuring hug. And I was like, yeah, that is tough to actually, I think it would have been easier per se if I was more fueled by hunger. But I think that's just kind of like in our innate primal sense of like, I need food. But I wasn't exactly hungry at the moment, so it was more wrapping my head around the actual death than me nourishing my body, which it did for dinner. But yeah, it was interesting because actually as we went through the process of cleaning it and whatnot, there were things you don't want to like do or touch or feel, that's inside all of us, our organs and whatnot. And so that entire process, I never once really thought of like any like juiciness of the bird or whatnot. It was more of just like really acknowledging that it's just as similar breathing living creature as we are. And it's funny, that night I'd gotten a hold of my girlfriend and I told her about the experience, and she was like, wow, I could never do that. I'm happy that you had the actual clarity and mindset to be able to do that and not feel as if it was killing a chicken for fun or for mass eating and whatnot, like McDonald's and stuff. And when I was telling her this, her friend was in the room, and she's like, oh, Bryce had to actually butcher his own chicken. And I hear her friend go, "Aww," and it really hit me, and I was like, yeah, you say "aw" because it was living, and I had to do it, but you would never say "aw" as you bite into a chicken sandwich.
Oh gosh.
Like "aw, oh, it tastes so good." Never happens.
Bryce, I think that's it. A lot of people that watch are hunters or have lived on a farm or something, and they are directly connected to the food they eat in some ways, and have killed something that they eat. But for those people that choose to eat meat, there really is this huge disconnect. Yeah. It just comes in a styrofoam package or whatever. It's not a living creature. But every time we eat that chicken fillet sandwich or burger or whatever, that's a dead cow or a dead...
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And most of the times that I had to wrap my head around is that however which way I killed that chicken went out entirely more peaceful than any other chicken you could possibly eat at any fast food chain restaurant. That was some actual suffering but it's out of sight and out of mind. So it's one of those things where you know it's not going to be good for you, but you got 30 minutes of a lunch break. Your stomach's growling. You don't have to kill the chicken yourself, so you just go eat chicken and fries. And it took me way more than 30 minutes to
Wow.
to finally be able to eat that chicken. In fact, it was more of like an entire 5-hour deal between the initial cleaning and killing and cooking. So not only was it completely in my mind that this was a living creature at once, but how much time it actually took for me to care for it and to make sure that it was well done or cooked to the right way and whatnot. And then, sure enough, it was absolutely delicious.
Wow.
But it was definitely, there's more gratitude in it. I actually felt a part of me just, I'm sure not everybody would do this, but as soon as the chicken was dead, more or less, I just thanked it for its life and for the future nutrients that it will supply me with. And there's no way you can sit in front of a cheeseburger or chicken sandwich and kind of have that same gratitude, because you know it's just going to tear your insides up either way.
Yeah. I mean, I know not everybody will take us up on this, but I'd really encourage, if you do eat meat, that you take the time at some point to visit a farm or something and try to kill an animal yourself. Sometimes it'll turn you into a vegetarian because you realize you can't do it. And then you realize, oh, okay, that chicken sandwich is a chicken. And of course, it's usually harder for us with a large animal like a cow or a pig or something like that.
Especially if you're going for something like veal. I mean, that's a baby cow.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know,
right.
Or rabbit legs and whatnot. All these things that people find very delicious. It's an entirely other thing to actually commit to eating that.
Yeah.
When you're not fueled by pure hunger.
It can really change the way you eat and the way you look at food. Because
definitely.
It's, we can also forget that the food we bring into us is this energy. And if we're environmentally conscious and we're thinking about how much electricity we're using or this or that, kind of have to think the same thing about the food energy we bring into us and then how we use that and express that. And am I going to kill this animal and eat it and then use it to do something like super frivolous, or am I going to take that energy and do something that will help somebody out or change the world in a positive way or whatever it is?
Yeah, and I think that's the good point, is some people may be like, why would you kill a chicken that way? Why would you kill a chicken and consume it in that manner? But I'd ask the same question at any fast food. I feel like what I did was way more pure and actually wholesome than ever going to get a chicken sandwich anywhere else, for that matter. Now, obviously, if you go to the store and you kind of have to trust the label or do some research on what you're buying from, but actual free-range organic chicken and whatnot is obviously a way better choice, but it's also $5 more. So it's just that you really have to decide. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with backing out from killing the animal, because that's when you absolutely learn that maybe I shouldn't be a vegetarian, because if I can't kill this animal, I shouldn't be able to eat it.
Yeah.
In any sort of means. So that hit me hard with mostly beef. It would take a lot. I mean, it's one thing to kill a small chicken and an entirely different thing to harvest an entire cow, which is that takes 4 or 5 people to do if you're doing it by yourself.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it's definitely, I don't think I would necessarily say that I would stop eating chicken as long as I know that it was treated in a way that it was here. But definitely larger animals has definitely warped the way I think about. And I'm about to go to California, and In-N-Out is a delicacy there. And I'll probably just, if at all, very rarely go there, just because, I don't know, it would take a lot of energy and time to clear my head in order to take in a dead cow.
In-N-Out is like a
Burger King.
A Burger King joint?
But it's very Western, or coastline on the west side, you know.
Sure.
You know.
Most people, if you watched interviews before, this is something I usually ask at the end. You know, most people aren't going to get a chance to spend even this duration in the woods without their tech and all their other stuff. A message from the woods to civilization before you return to civilization, to those of us who are in there, like, how can we gain some of the fruits you've gained, or how can we...
That's an interesting... One thing I think that I learned, there's a few things that I'll probably never forget, but one of them is your initial mindset. For me, for the longest time, it was, you know, if I'm in the city or if I'm in town doing the daily bustle, that I'm going to have a cluttered mind, and that in order to clarify my mind that way, I needed to retreat to the woods. And be alone for a while and whatnot, and have this solitude, which is funny because solitude's great until you have it. And so,
well said.
So it's one of the profound things I think I gathered here is that if you're really getting low in life and cluttered, and the, you know, shelves in your mind that go on for all and all, it's really inside here. And sometimes for people like me, it takes coming to the woods for a while to realize that it doesn't necessarily need to be found in the woods. Mm-hmm. The environment helps, but it all really comes down to how you see life and how you want to change it for the better for yourself. But man, I don't know, there is something profound about being in the woods, and there's a humbling effect. I think anytime I read or think of the idea that we call ourselves intellectuals, I just can't help but laugh. And the way I kind of remind myself of that is I'm surrounded by trees. And then you kind of pointed this out in a small way, and I just kind of took it in my own perception. How trees are like this perfect manifestation of what they should be or what they want to be, because it's obvious that these things are living, you know, and breathing and being. But I just find myself looking at trees and noticing that their entire life is spent giving, which is what we breathe. And there's no way we could ever say the same, that our entire duration from root to the treetop of our life is dedicated to just giving. So in a way, we're no smarter than a tree. So it's that humbling effect that I think people need to experience from time to time, that we are the cosmic joke of these tiny insects that think we're all so powerful and controlling, when all it would take is for a tree to fall onto me and my intellectuality is gone. Yeah.
Puts it in perspective.
It does. It really does. It's just here to be and here to give so that we may breathe. And we all just forget to even breathe. So if that's any woodsy wisdom that I have for you,
That's awesome.
is that we are no smarter than a tree.
I love it. Oh. Well, thank you. It's been really an honor having this time with you.
Yeah.
I hope we get to meet up again.
Of course.
Before too long.
Of course. I've had an incredible change of pace here and clarity of my next step in life, which is hard for the common man and woman in the hustle bustle of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to feel this sort of comfort in whatever the future may have. And also not having expectations. Expectations just really set you up for failure. Yeah.
You came here with no expectations, and you really lived that.
Yeah. Well, it sets you up for, and mainly not in events, but more people. If you have expectations in people, You know, you kind of want people to react a certain way, or you just hope that they're going to be good in a situation when they may otherwise act differently. So really finding that embodiment of not having expectations of every moment that you wake up or just go through life really opens up the possibility for just pure excitement and surprise of people and things that you're doing. You know, like you can wake up with the expectations that today I'm going to read 12 books. I would completely have set myself up for failure if I had that expectation.
Yeah.
So really just, I think that played a big key in my time here, is really just, you know, I'd said it over and over. Dustin would be like, are you going to be okay with this? You know, this is kind of the plan. Is that cool? Dustin, no expectations.
No expectations.
So every time we did something, I was just like a child seeing something for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's what was so amazing about working with you, is because people have come and said no expectations before.
Right.
And that's why probably, you know,
Right.
I think both Dustin and I,
Like, sure.
we kind of questioned that. Like, okay, you probably came with a whole boatload, but you really didn't have expectations. And then I feel like that's why this 17 days could be, I think, way richer than a lot of people's much longer duration experience, because we just, you had that childlikeness, and we could just jump into things.
Very moldable, and oftentimes bringing myself to like having that empty cup of being able to really receive information. I don't know, and that goes as far to like empty mind, the posture of receiving, and you know, it's very like often be like, yeah, I can listen to what you have to say, not like this, just like bouncing off their chest right back at you.
Yeah.
And no, so anytime that, you know, we had like a moment of intense emotions and realizing, I don't know, we were very receiving of each other, and with Dustin as well. So
You can have access to YouTube when you get back.
definitely.
Would you answer people's questions? Would you get on here? Would you have
Yeah,
time
in
to do
the
that?
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. So then, if any of you have questions for Bryce, you can ask them below. He'll be back in, I'm not quite sure. I might actually put this up today even,
Okay.
or tomorrow. So he
It'll
might
be
not
a-
have
it'll
access
be a
for a
couple
couple days. Yeah. But when his travels are over and he's back, you can ask him questions. And otherwise, just share your thoughts about the woods, about civilization and how it affects us, about meat, and if you're a vegetarian, and if you aren't, have you ever killed something? And would you take that challenge if it was put before you? All right. Love to you all.
Love to you all.